We're live with another Yacht Broker Masterclass free webinar. As always, I would ask you to just give me that little bit of reassurance that I need that you can hear me, because I'm never totally sure with these webinars. The last live stream that I did during the Monaco the Cannes Yacht Show, we lost the signal, and unfortunately we lost the live stream as a result. However, that was under unusual circumstances. We're in the middle of the boat show. We didn't have a great Wi-Fi connection here. I'm in Northrop and Johnson's offices, and I think the signal's strong. So if somebody just wants to leave me a comment to reassure me that they can hear me, that's always very much appreciated. And I wanted to do this particular free webinar on the topic of how much a yacht broker can make, because I think it has to be one of the motivating factors of people becoming a yacht broker. I was talking to my daughter about this last night. We had dinner together. She started to work temporarily, maybe for Northrop and Johnson in a role in our intelligence department. And I was talking to her about what a good career it is if she wishes to pursue the career in yachting, and how it's very neutral as far as gender goes. There are many female yacht sales brokers. There are many male yacht charter brokers. It's quite gender neutral, and the earnings potential is impressive, which I think is what my daughter was particularly interested in. So in this specific webinar, I want to tackle that subject of just how much can somebody make as a yacht broker. And without a doubt, it's a significant amount of money. I'm still not seeing any comments from anybody who's just reassuring me. I know that Leonardo is on the line. Leonardo, do you just mind reassuring me that you can hear me, so that I know that I'm not just talking to myself, because that would feel rather foolish if I was to be doing that. Very good. Thank you. Swedish B Company. Very good, Mats. Thank you. Much appreciated. Now, when we talk about earnings, of course, for a yacht broker, earnings depend upon sales. For most yacht brokers, if you don't sell anything, you don't make anything. Apprentice yacht brokers can sometimes be paid a small basic, and it does tend to be a small amount. It varies from one brokerage company to another. But if the brokerage company is investing in you to pay you a basic wage every month, the split that you get on the commission will be far less. And something you need to be very cautious of if you do an agreement like that with a brokerage company is that they don't expect to get that money back off of you on your first sale. Now, that might be perfectly acceptable to you if they do that. If they give you a forward on your commission, but at least it's good to know about it. The worst thing that can happen, and it happens to many, is that they work for a year, they're getting paid, I don't know, 2,000-3,000 a month by the yacht brokerage company. They get their first sale, and the brokerage goes, "Thanks very much. We'll have all of that back, please, that we've paid you." That was actually an advance on your commission. So in this webinar, my first piece of advice to you is be very clear with your brokerage company as to whether that's the case or not, or rather whether this is an investment they're making in you so that you can then sell yachts and bring in money to the company. If you are a trainee broker and you're getting paid by the company, you're not going to get a 50-50 split. You might get a 30-70, you might get a 20-80. I'll be very honest with you. My first yacht brokerage company that I worked for, which was a very small company, they had a 20-80 split with me. 20-80 split. I got the 20, they got the 80. And the first yacht that I ever sold was a whopper. It was huge. And it was certainly the biggest commission that I ever bought into a brokerage company. And I only got 20% of it. I mean, it was still a lot of money, but it was, what it would have been if I'd have been on a 50-50 split would have been far greater. In the case, though, of yacht brokers who are independent contractors, it's a very high risk, high reward business. You will be expected to pay all of your expenses. So let's say, for example, that you have a client who wants to view a yacht in the Exumas. You'll be expected to pay for your own flight to the Exumas. and back, and your hotel. Now, it may well be that when the yacht sells, or if the yacht sells, you can then get that back from the company. But for most brokerage companies, that's a risk that you take in return for having a 50-50 split of the commission. The commission itself on most brokerage yachts is 10%, up to $10 million or euros. After that, it goes to 5% for the next 10 million. After that, it goes to 2.5% for every 10 million thereafter. So if you sell $100 million yacht, which I hope for all of you that you do one day, you don't get 10 million. You get 1 million on the first 10. You get 500,000 on the second 10, and 250,000 for every portion of 10 million after that, if that makes any sense. If it doesn't make any sense, I'll go into more detail on it on the Yacht Broker Masterclass itself, but I'm sure you grasp the concept. As well, that it's not that often that you will have buyer and seller. In the case of a $100 million yacht, it may be that Edmiston, or recently I would say Cecil Wright, since they seem to be listing a lot of these huge yachts with some success, it may be that they have the yacht for sale. As you probably saw recently, Kismet was sold, which was a price far in excess of 100 million. So they have the yacht, you have the buyer. Under most circumstances, the buyer's broker expects 60% of the commission, and the seller's broker, under most circumstances, will expect 40% of the commission. So let's say that it's to make it simple, $1 million commission. That means 600,000 goes to you because you represent the buyer, 400,000 goes to the brokerage company that has the seller. However, remember that you're on a 50-50 split with your brokerage company. So your 600,000 is now 300,000 that ends up in your pocket. Or if you're representing the seller, your 400,000 is now 200,000 that ends up in your pocket. I think that's a really important thing to say, and it's something that I wanted to be very transparent about in these free webinars, because whilst there's a lot of money to be made in yacht brokerage, it may not be as much, and it's certainly not as simple as many people perceive it to be. It's not like a $10 million yacht will make me $1 million. It will probably make you 300,000 or 200,000, depending on whether you're representing buyer or seller. And even there's often a lot of negotiating that goes on the commission. This is again something I go into in some detail on the last module of the Yacht Broker Masterclass, how to make sure that you're in a strong position to negotiate on commission. There was once a yacht owner who made a very wise comment to me, and he said, most deals are done when the seller accepts a little bit less than he really wanted, the buyer pays a little bit more than he really wanted, and the broker in the middle is prepared to be a little bit flexible on their commission too. And that's very true. In most deals, you do need some flexibility. So there's plenty of money to be made, but it's important to go in with your eyes open. Now, by the way, anybody watching, feel free to ask me any questions about this or about any other aspect of yacht brokerage. That's what I'm here for, to answer any questions that you've got. And while you're maybe giving some thought to that, I just want to tell you about a little add-on that I'm developing to the actual Yacht Broker Masterclass, because I discovered that the platform that I'm using to host the Masterclass has got a facility called Communities. And already I think we have 7 students in the Masterclass already, which, to be frank, I'm delighted about because it's only been live for just over a week. And this community facility will allow the students of the masterclass to communicate between each other and to exchange knowledge, experience, ask questions. I'll be able to jump in and answer some of the questions as well. And I'm hoping that by developing that community circle, it'll become a rich source of information for anybody who wants to be a yacht broker. I don't see any questions coming in just yet, so I'm going to carry on rabbiting on about the kind of money that a yacht broker can make. The examples that I gave a few moments ago are for brokerage yachts. pre-owned yachts that are on the market. So your 2019 azimuths, your 1998 Fed ship, used yachts. The new yachts industry is actually quite different to that. Certainly the larger yachts, if you go to Lursen or Amels and they're building a yacht for you, don't expect 10%. They won't give you 10%. It's more usually 5%. And under those circumstances, they do expect the broker to be really involved with the deal. Something that we see happen a lot in the brokerage industry is when somebody happens to know a wealthy person and they know that they're interested in buying a yacht, and they pass on the contact details to a broker and then expect half the commission. It's kind of difficult to justify giving the half commission just on the basis of an introduction. And in the same way, yacht builders are none too happy about paying 5%, which can be a lot of money, just for an introduction. Some yacht builders, and Benetti I know is one, they have a very well structured commission agreement with brokers. And they have a ratcheted a ratcheted system where if all you've done is an introduction, you get this much. If it's an introduction plus you see the guy to contract, it's this much. If you're then prepared to regularly visit the shipyard during the build process, you get a full commission. In my opinion, that's a very sensible and an acceptable proposal because you get paid according to what you're bringing to the table. I think it's really important that anybody who wants to go into yacht brokerage has a realistic outlook on it and isn't expecting to be paid for basically just for handing over contact details. The other danger in just handing over contact details is that you might get paid on that first sale, but after that you've handed over your client to a shipyard, and they're unlikely to work with you on the second deal, and the client's unlikely to give you the yacht when it's time to come to sell it. So it's really an industry where you get out of it what you're prepared to put into it, and the more you work, the more you get paid. Again, in the Yacht Broker Masterclass, I go into an entire module called It's a Relationships Business and the importance of building relationships. If you're not prepared to spend time with your clients when they build a yacht, you'll lose the relationship. And if you lose the relationship, you're potentially losing multiple other sales as they go on. Even as I hear myself say that, I think, well, that sounds pretty obvious. But in spite of the fact it's obvious, many, many yacht brokers fall down on that. They make the sale and they're off and they abandon the client. And then they get upset when the client goes somewhere else for their next yacht, or they go somewhere else when they want to sell the yacht. So it really is a relationships business. Surprising lack of questions on this webinar. All the rest we had loads. I'm a little bit worried that maybe my questions bar down the side is blocked or something. But I see that Samuel Ramos retracted his message twice. Samuel, if you want to put it back up there again, I'll see if I can answer it, whatever it is. Next week, we have the Monaco Yacht Show, which I'm sure that a lot of you will attend. If you can't attend, I definitely encourage you to do so. And the Monaco Yacht Show is a great opportunity to not just see what's on the market, but to build those relationships that I've been talking about. You'll be meeting yacht designers, you'll be meeting yacht builders, you get to meet the sales directors, and even if they're very busy, at the very least, you can come away with a business card or with more details about the builder and what they do. I can't stress enough the importance of yacht brokers building relationships with shipyards. Very often, it's a question of being in the right place at the right time. And as you build your network of potential buyers, sometimes something comes out in conversation, and you can connect it with a meeting that you've had at the Monaco Yacht Show, and you're the right person with the right information for that particular client at the right time. Networking is really a key aspect to the whole yacht brokerage industry. Funnily enough, I was talking to a broker earlier today, and he's pitching on a really large yacht that's for sale, hoping to get the central agency. And he took the effort to go and visit the yacht owner in his home, which was quite a distance away. He had to book his flight, he had to go there, take the time. And while he was talking to the client said to him, "Oh, by the way, my best friend is building a 70-meter yacht, and he's thinking of selling it on." Now, if the broker hadn't made the effort to go to the guy's home and to build that relationship, he would never have heard about the second person who's also looking to build. And going back to the theme of this particular webinar, when big stakes, when such big amounts of money is at stake, it's a shame not to put the effort in and to work your contacts to see how you can really use them to the best of your ability. The sale of a 70-meter, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not even saying that the guy will decide to sell. But a 70-meter can potentially bring in, even after a split with a house, $1 million to a yacht broker, which is life-changing amounts of money. Because there's no more questions coming in, I'm going to just tell you a little bit more about the Yacht Broker Masterclass itself, because I'm starting now to upload all of the various modules. And as I'm listening to them back, I'm extremely proud of the amount of information that's given in them. We have a module which is talking about the business of brokerage. And I think you'll be surprised when you hear that module about exactly what a broker should be doing and exactly the skill set that's required. It might not be what you're expecting it to be. We have a module that goes through the MEBA contract line by line by line. It's essential to understand the contracts that allow people to purchase a super yacht. We have a module that goes through new construction contracts. New construction contracts, there's not really a standard contract as such for buying a brand new yacht. And so we go through the principles that you need to be aware of if you have a client that wants to build a new yacht. A module that goes through the most commonly used contract in the United States, which is the IBA contract. That's the International Yacht Brokers Association contract. Another module that goes through ownership structures, why people want to own a yacht in the name of a company rather than as an individual. It's really important to understand that. And above all, in all of those modules, it's important to understand why you shouldn't give legal advice and how complex it can be and how much damage you can do financially to a client if you give him bad advice. So those are essential modules. But what I'm most proud of in the masterclass is that it goes into a lot of depth about the importance of relationships, the pitfalls that you can fall into that can lead to you losing money and even going out of business, the things that you need to know about dealing with a buyer, how to even find people who want to buy a yacht, how to even find people who want to sell yachts. We go into a lot of depth on that. And then once you've got them, what you need to do with them. And I'm really, I guess, fortunate that over the almost 30 years in the industry, I've met some fantastic brokers and fantastic yacht salespeople. And as I've been along the way, I've made a mental note of what they're doing in order to be successful. So in the masterclass, I use a lot of examples of successful people and what their key was to be able to deal with buyers, to deal with sellers, and to be successful in what they do. So on this occasion, with the lack of any questions forthcoming, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to double check a moment online, because sometimes I can see questions on my cell phone that I can't see here. So before I bring this particular webinar to an end, I just want to make sure that I'm not missing any of your questions. Here we go. I now have 4 YouTube channels, so it's so it's a little bit more complicated. No, I can see from that there's no questions forthcoming. So I'll leave this as a recording for anybody in the future who's interested in how much yacht brokers can make. Thank you all for your attendance, and take a look at yachtbrokermasterclass.com if you want some more information about the masterclass. Thank you very much for attending.